one out of the way now.
Swanbee's first.
Yeah, Swanbee's first. Swanbee's basically go back. It was all very friendly.
Yeah, it is a great when you're sitting there, mate. This one is squeezing it.
The beat. Yeah, Chris?
I'll tell you what, obviously away from thankfully I'll miss Cayenne probably. I haven't got to the home games. I mean, anyway, Saturday I'll be down there at 11. yeah.
It's given me the perfect excuse.
No, it's just because the previous games they've moved 2 games. They've moved 4 games. Just TV. Their Boxing Day game is down to 27. There's TV. But it's still a 4-way kickoff. Stay there a bit longer.
I know, told you should have been on it. But the fishing is there. There you go, have a word with fishing price. I think you paid £5 for that.
And that's all to it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's Fans Forum. I'd like to introduce our co-owners, Stewart Thompson, Jason Neale and Darragh MacAnthony. I know 2 Guinnesses one end, a bottle of wine the other. It's going to be a good night. Okay, so how this is going to work is you raise your hand, I come to you with the microphone. If you can stand up and address the person that you want to speak to, that'll help massively. We are obviously providing a stream for those who couldn't be bothered to turn up tonight and want to watch it at home in their comfort of their own living room. Shocking. So obviously we want to try and make sure they get the full experience as well. I'm going to kick things off with one question. And it's to Jason. So I just want to get a flavour really, because a lot of you are unaware that the work's going on down the training ground with the new dome. So Jason, can you just tell us where we're at with that in terms of the Category 2?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been granted, I guess, provisional Category 2, has to be confirmed. The one thing that needs to be confirmed is we need to, or one thing for it to be confirmed is we need to complete the dome. I understand the turf was being laid today. So all of the engineering works, all of the groundworks is being completed, the turf is being laid today. Within a month that dome should be up. We then have an audit from the FA. That I believe is taking place at the end of November, and subject to that we will be a Cat 2 academy, which will be really fantastic.
How much does that cost us? 1.7 million?
It was expensive.
Apparently, because of inflation, it's 300 grand over budget. It's everyone's story nowadays, isn't it?
There was this thing, COVID-19 and Brexit, they both happened at the same time, and apparently it increased the cost by about 20%. So not great.
Okay, if you want to put your hands in the air, and I will come to you with the microphone as fast as my legs will carry me. If there's no questions, we'll get back for EastEnders. Anybody got a question? Right, over the far side, testing me already.
First of all, Phil, before we get into it, look, ask for a bit of patience. We've been interviewing people since 9 this morning, so my patience is thin. We've been talking all day. But this is the first time, I think, since COVID, since we've actually seen everyone in the room. So welcome back properly. It's great to see you all, looking so happy and healthy. And I'm sure when COVID, obviously not you down there, you know, but when COVID first broke, I'm sure we'd said, look, we're going to see you in 19 months, we're all going to be together, and we'll be a championship football club. I'm sure someone would have given their left testicle for that, right? So again, thanks for coming tonight. Bear with us, we'll try our best, and we'll try to be as honest as always, without getting into too many confrontations or looks. Where's Swanee, by the way? Is he here tonight? He's not here tonight? Didn't show up?
He'll be the one watching at home in his living room.
I cannot believe that. Unbelievable. Lightweight.
Typical.
That's funny. Shocking, that is.
Hi, Darragh.
How are you, pal?
I believe this is to you. I think it was the 3rd of September on the national press. They announced that we were signing a set piece coach from Boston FC, Andy Butler. What's happened on that?
We didn't sign him from anyone. He came as somebody, as an employee, you know, who was looking for work. I think he'd finished football, he didn't want to play anymore, so he wanted a job in coaching. So the gaffer knows him from a long way back. And yes, he's joined us. He's been obviously working in that capacity. I know there'll be a few questions. Well, why haven't we improved set pieces? Why hasn't there been loads scored? Why hasn't there been more stopped conceding wise? But you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. He came quite late to the party. It's a position we wanted to fill. It's a position we actively knew we had to fill going into the championship. Last couple of games, we had the set piece that Jack Taylor scored at Hull. We had one on Saturday that Sammy cleared off the line or scored that put him offside, but Beavers would have scored his first goal for the club. And obviously, if you look statistically, we are improving on conceding from corners as well, bar the one that QPR hit straight in. We like Butts. He's been a good addition. There's a lot of analysis and work that goes into it. We looked at your Barnsleys, your Brentfords, the work they did last year, the difference it made with the difference in set piece goals they scored. This is something that's going to take us well into next summer before we get this right. Because it's not just what he does, the work with the players. We have to have certain players for those set pieces. So that might play into recruitment in the future as well. So bear with us on that. You know, I'm the first to, trust me, fucking moan if we concede one or we don't score one or whatever else. So I'm pushing on that all the time, particularly on the data. You know, I know how many corners we get, I know how many we concede. You know, I know when we look like scoring and don't look like scoring. So don't think I'm not on that big time, particularly when we're investing in it. But we have belief that he's going to be a very, very, very good addition to the staff. We're very blessed. I've always said this, we've got a really good team on the pitch and a really good team off the pitch. And that includes all the staff that are here, not just football staff, but the football staff are a real credit to their profession. They're very good at what they do. And we feel Andy's tailor-made for what we do here at Posh, so hopefully he'll do good things.
I think it's probably a question for all of you. The ground, can you give us an update on the current situation? And
which one? This one or the other one?
The new one.
Okay. Okay, I'm looking. Yeah.
Well, let me start with the old one. We bought this ground. One of the three things we wanted to do when we agreed to join Darragh was purchase the stadium we're in, and we've done that, so that's good. And
during COVID you did that?
During COVID,
which is, you know, £5.5 million or whatever else, so fair credit to my partners, they exactly what they did. I didn't want to buy the ground originally, do you know what I mean, and none of those kind of numbers, but they pushed home the importance it was for ownership to have control over the ground. And Jason and Randy worked hard on that and made that happen. I had very little to do with that, so full credit goes to them for that. And to do it during COVID was a miracle. So, but anyway, don't stop you carrying on.
No, I was going to say, Stewart, you want to come on?
So yeah, the new grounds that I said it on a interview. It's at that difficult process where people don't kind of see lots going on, And the reality is, right now, I guess not a lot is going on. The city is actually wanting to kind of get that public hearing feedback right now. It's in their hands, I believe, and I think we believe as well. I think we've done all the right things. We bought the old ground, and that was a requirement. We paid for a master planning process that, and we put in with both Cambridgeshire and the city. We've done all the things they've asked us to do to be part of that. In fact, I would suggest that we've pushed our way into that master plan. So right now, the city is at a point where it's waiting for the public feedback, but we can't get a commitment from them that where we're gonna go. And so they would love for the three of us to pay the next step as well, which of course we've already just paid for the old step, so we're kind of saying, well, it's a bit of a chicken and egg, which I appreciate, and I mean this sincerely as everyone's watching. I appreciate where the city's at. They need your feedback. They need to find out what the community thinks. But we've sort of taken the step. We're not going to put the next $1 million up for all the planning and all the processes and all the permits when we don't know exactly where it's going to be. So we're kind of waiting for this public hearing process to end. So everybody get involved.
Should I stay gagged or should I?
No, do what you want. And
So we yeah, I should watch what I say here. We played Hull a couple of weeks ago. They have a lovely stadium, and it's a community stadium. They paid nothing for it. They have a very cheap lease, and they play in a beautiful stadium. We went to Swansea on Saturday. Best forget about Swansea on Saturday, but let's just talk about the stadium for a second. And a beautiful stadium. Again, very much designed and created by the community, the council, the city of Swansea, and Swansea have a very low lease on that stadium. The benefit to Hull of the city and Swansea, their city, is the millions that come in every year. And I've been saying this and banging my head against a brick wall for a long time. You know, the last estimation was 15 million plus in revenue. You know, us being in the championship is worth to the city of Peterborough. If you add that over a long period of time, that's incredible wealth for the city, and it's much needed revenue for the city, particularly after COVID. Any business owner in the city, I'm sure, would stand here nearby and put their hand up and go, absolutely, when Posh have QPR in town, or when they have a sellout Fulham in town, our revenue's up, everything's up, we're employing more people, there's more taxes, there's more this, there's more that. I'm not an economics professor, but I do know the benefit of us being here outweighs the benefit of us not being here. So I've always been of that mindset, Christ, we're bringing all that revenue in, you know, what about us? What's in it for us? You know, the stadium, good deal. The city did well out of it. Everyone moans about what they paid and what they sold it, but they made fortunes in between. They made a lot of rent. All the houses that were built, the tax money every year for the rest of the lot. For the next 100 years, you start adding up the monies, the flats that were built on the land, more council tax on those flats. This football club has made the city millions of pounds, continues to make the city millions of pounds. All these guys want to do is go in and put a state-of-the-art 365-day-a-year stadium that will create hundreds more jobs, generate probably 25 million a year instead of 15 million a year. And they're even saying, well, we'll try and get the funding if you're not going to help. And to that point, we haven't gone anywhere land-wise with that. There's open discussions.
How do you feel about it?
Do you get where I'm coming from? That's my frustration. That's why I don't talk about it a lot. I just feel we're doing our bit. We're doing our bit as best we can. We're not asking for handouts. I've seen articles written in papers. I've seen athletics track people writing about us at the weekend. I've seen leaders from other parties talk about us like we're just some big pariah, like we're sucking the life out of it. Well, fucking hell, are you kidding me? Yeah? Are you bringing in 15 to 20 million a year to this city? Are you helping with the local economy? Are you fucked? So it's easy to write articles and it's easy to take pot shots at us. But when you want to bring that kind of wealth to the table, I'll happily have the conversation. If you're not really interested. So we need the support. Our fans have been magnificent throughout COVID. They've been magnificent since we've been back in the championship. They've done their bit, we've done our bit, the away crowds are coming, and now we ask the city to do their bit. Because it will be good for them, for us, for everybody.
I think, and I know there's people here that probably, you can be a Posh fan and not believe we belong on the embankment. So we're completely comfortable with that. So I want to put that out there. But we've done, again, we've paid for the master plan process. We've looked. We know what a lifeless suburban stadium would do, and having the stadium beside the university on the embankment makes sense when your downtown core is at risk the way Peterborough's is. We're just asking to be part of the regeneration. So to me, with all due respect to everybody who's here who is not on that side, and I don't mind having a hands put up, but I think that's unfair here because I think we'll probably win that day. But I believe it's pretty low, and to be honest, here's Alan Swan's first quote of the day. I don't think the Telegraph's been completely balanced about it. I think whenever you get a chance that somebody's going to jump up and down and say, oh, well, 200 of us at the training ground or the running track and 100 of us that walk our dogs on the embankment, totally the paper's going to write that. But I know how many of you have written into the embankmentstadium.com, hint, hint, and told us what you think of this. I know what we've talked about with the Cambridgeshire government. I know what we've talked about with the city. I have been open to talk to anybody and any group at any time. And if you can give us a better solution than the regeneration of this city with a brand new events center right beside the university, I'm all ears. But right now, I don't want to brush it off. If you're sensitive to not being on the embankment, I appreciate it. But the reality is, this is a great opportunity for the city.
We've got a continued question here.
Hi guys, thanks for tonight. Slightly nervous because you've obviously seen an article that I haven't seen in the papers, and I'm not coming at it from the direction you think I'm going to come at it from. So, myself and my kids were all posh season ticket holders. I'm also, don't boo, a coach at the athletics club. Now, I've not seen the article that you're talking about, and I think you can guess where I'm going to go with this one now. I'm a big supporter at the stadium, and I do want it on embankment. Okay, cheer.
Top man, wee!
So you
Find me the name of that guy who wrote that article, right? I need his address as well before you leave tonight.
So I didn't know that was coming. I came in here to ask.
Look, I'm just going to say this in defence of him who wrote the article. He's trying to defend his turf.
Yeah.
Athletics is over there. He's obviously worried about getting eaten up by this whole thing with the stadium, losing parts of the track. He's fighting for his corner. I totally understand that. I'm agitated not with him. Do you know what I mean? I'm agitated with the situation.
I know there are people in the club.
Can I jump in for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Because actually, just so you know, right from the very beginning, when we looked at the potential, it was actually the city that suggested the embankment, because I thought that was like holy ground. There's no way. And then it was one of the city employees said, well, what about right across the river from his office?
Yeah.
And we went, absolutely. And then we went back to them with a plan. And they had told us they could get control of Middleham, right? And so the thought process was move the track and the swimming pool across, like everything we've said, keep the track.
Yeah.
But the track, in our mind, doesn't need to be right in the middle of the university and right in the middle of the event center. So we've actually been going to preserve the pool, preserve the track, and keep everything in that community center. So that was also a little bit of a bias. Is like there's nothing we've ever put that says destroy the track.
Yeah.
The question I came here tonight to ask is, we're going to be neighbours.
Yeah.
So could we enter into a dialogue where we work together for the benefit of the community?
That's always open to dialogue.
I think we've always
absolutely. But look, we don't do our dialogue via the ET. So our doors are PT.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, sorry, PT.
Yeah.
On my mind's scrambled.
Well, I haven't read it either, so I don't know.
But listen, but we don't do our dialogue that way. Yeah. We're not writing an article via the PT about the athletics track or the athletics team. Whoever the guy was decided to do that. Not once as he walked into the reception and said, hey, we want to have a dialogue, we want to have a conversation, maybe that should be upon us to do that too. But he's never done it that way. All I know is, I've read an article a week ago, and it's half of it at the end is all about the stadium and shouldn't be there, and the embankment, and then I'm just going, here we go again.
I mean, in my day job, I try and bring people together to try and get consensus.
Fair play.
So both
you don't organise swingers parties, do you?
No, I don't. Make them more lucrative. But,
Phil needs details. Listen,
no, honestly, and I've had the conversation back at the club. Both the Posh and the athletics club both mean a lot to me in my life.
Fair enough.
And if one of them comes in and starts getting pushy about it, it's going to push me into the arms of the other one.
Yeah, I get that.
And I've just come here to say, would Posh have a dialogue?
Yeah. Well,
I think we're open to a dialogue with anybody, right? Yeah. We encourage it.
We actually, in that room, posted, everybody who was part of that not-for-profit community, including the running track, they were part of that dialogue in that room that went to the document that's on our website. So we literally had 15 stakeholders here. We hosted. Foot the bill again.
We footed the bill?
Of course we did. Yeah.
I think it'd be great working together.
Yeah, and so we really are, dialogue is the core of this. Like every community that's failed on a new stadium is because they didn't engage the stakeholders. And so I think I get a little more sensitive about it when people kind of suggest we haven't, because it's just not the way we've operated to this point, so. Anyway, yes, dialogue,
Question,
cool.
just a question here.
Yeah.
I'm glad you started talking about the stadium early.
You're looking well, pal.
Thank you very much. Feeling well. Getting there.
Good man.
Darragh especially, but this is for all three of you, but Darragh especially, for 15 years, whatever now, you quite rightly have been moaning about the exorbitant rent that the council have charged us. Slightly flippant, but I'll get your reaction to this. Are you three willing to announce a peppercorn rent for the football club for whatever period you would or wouldn't do it for? As a reflection of what the council tried to screw out of us?
No, because these guys had to raise the money to buy it, and that has to be paid back in time. So, of course, there's a bill to be paid. You know, I moaned for years, yes, because the rent was exorbitant, and the repayment at the moment is not exorbitant compared to that. You know, the rent was upwards of like 500 grand a year when we were in the Champion, not more, if I remember, and it's below that at the moment, and significantly. Yeah. So, but these guys organised that, they raised the funds for that, and there is a tab to pay on that, and that's fine. I'm absolutely okay with that, because right now we're not answerable to anybody but ourselves. And we're spending money on the stadium like we always have, but this time under an ownership platform. So every improvement is on us as owners and landlords. So no peppercorn rent, absolutely not.
Okay, that's fine.
I mean, that's just honesty. I don't know if you guys want to change their mind on that.
The question's asked.
Yeah, of course.
Devil's advocate, etc.
We're always transparent, Davey.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Sort of. And the other question I was going to ask, and it's a question that obviously members of PISA have come and asked me to ask, so don't shoot the messenger. Not that I'm bothered if you did. No. Their worry, and none of us think it would actually happen,
sure.
But the worry is that it could. So the stadium is opened with all the fanfare on the Saturday, and on the Sunday the three owners go, brilliant, done that, sold it, off, go, bye-bye football club.
Right.
You know, that is a Coventry scenario, a little bit different, but it's the same.
You're absolutely right, yeah,
so that's the worry,
and you've every right to ask because of what's happened historically with other clubs, and we were talking earlier about horror stories at Rushden and Diamonds. I think Hereford have gone through it. Someone we know well is involved with loads of those things, you know, not someone I like particularly, but historically those places have been turned into developments. There's a covenant on this place, and the only way it gets lifted is if we're in a new stadium. So there is no benefit for anyone to come in here and buy and go over shutting up shop and taking Peterborough out of here for what? To have a big empty stadium they pay 250 grand in rates every year on. So that's what you're paying in rates. So you may as well, whoever the landlord is, the only person who's going to pay substantial rents is the football club. So to cover their rates and everything else. So that can never happen. It's just an improbability. Yes, it can happen, but if you do the probability, Jason loves numbers, statistically, it's, you know, very, very slim probability. And I'd also say to the members of PISA, in 15 years, I've never given you reason to question that. These guys in 4 years have been stand-up guys through a horrible period for the club, COVID. So they deserve equally 15 years of trust, you know? So I hope that answers that question. Yeah. There's nothing else I can do but put blood on the table, if you want.
I wouldn't mind taking a different tack to this, and this is what I actually said at PISA. So you don't have to go into a lot of corporate business strategy to understand the risk, and I say in business there's no such thing as a good decision. It's just a form of poison, and which one would you like to drink? And so between hemlock and arsenic, you have the opportunity in hemlock where we tie everything into the club and the stadium takes you down. Or you have this risk where 3 people are footing the bill at the dinner party, but then they take off at the stadium. And so you literally are looking at two risk baskets. And the one we chose that we felt was the right one, because quite frankly it's becoming standard, is if there's real estate developers in this room, you know exactly what we're talking about, is you take every single business project, you separate them so one can't become the boat anchor for the other ones. And that was literally the thought process on this, on the strategy. It wasn't anything sneaky or nefarious. So we know some owners have done the sneaky and nefarious, but we also know there's football clubs that have had their operations take them down too. So it is a pick your poison. This is the poison we understand. We can actually do better financing for the stadium if it's separated from the football club. Because you can appreciate post-COVID, do you know how many banks are, a football club walks into a bank, that's the start of a joke right now.
They'll only do a mortgage with a personal
Absolutely.
guarantee. They won't do it on a club, but they do it on us for owning the stadium.
Yeah.
So that's one of the methods to the madness also, to do it.
So you have a commercial property that gets treated like a commercial property that gets a lot more added. Again, the other thing too is, if it's an event center, 280 days active, it looks more like a convention center, an event center, and not just a 32 times a year football stadium. So we chose this, and we chose it over the other poison. I think that's the answer I gave at Pisa. More than happy to have our integrity checked on that, but I agree with you. We haven't done nothing here to put people in a scare on that, and I think it's better for you.
If you look at most clubs in the English Pyramid, a large number of them have separate entities, so the football club and the property. As Randy said, or Stewart, I'm sorry, I keep calling him Randy.
It's done now. These guys
sorry, the
are not
cat's out of the bag. It's way easier to finance an event centre, be it a stadium or whatever, than it is a football club.
Okay, we've got a question here.
Thank you.
Yeah, going back to the stadium, the bad mouthing coming from other directions. There seems to be an awful lot of people putting up ideas of they're putting objections through under groups of people and raising, let's all get together. Why aren't we doing something like this? How about a group of people from Posh actually saying we support the embankment, we support the project. All we're seeing is everyone saying, let's knock the embankment, let's say Peterborough crap. So what's the thoughts on that?
I don't know if you knew, but my first job out of school, I was in politics. So I spent 3 years in the racket.
Let's go, Brandon.
Yeah. And you know what? The worst thing we could do as a club is be seen as trying to get a grassroots movement to manipulate a political process. The best thing we can do tonight
is hope you guys do exactly what you've just said. So we know that there's a good 7,000-8,000 of you, the best of times. You want it, you got to be a bit more aggressive and scream about it for us and you and everyone else. But as Randy said, we can't be actively putting up things and yeah, it's just the way it plays. Because there is politics always involved in this stuff, unfortunately.
Any hands in the air?
Everyone who has a stadium question, go home. Next question. And anyone who has a question about Swansea on Saturday,
that was Phil forgot to put that as a rule.
Yeah, firstly, I'd just like to say the last home game, that was absolutely fantastic. And to have that on your doorstep is a credit. Well, probably Darragh, you know, that's brilliant.
Yeah, to all of us. Yeah, no, listen, everyone here. QPR was amazing. Great fun.
What I'm a little bit worried about, though, is that season ticket prices have gone up this season.
Sure.
I don't want to look back, but next year, are they going to go up again by 20%? I know there's a few people that have, you know, obviously on the option 2, option 3. So come 3 years' time, that's going to be quite a leap. I'm just worried that we might be getting on a horse that is galloping away.
I get you, yeah, where you get to the point where it's like 60 quid a seat. Or look, I think we all agree the world's suffering, and I've said this for the last, on my podcast during COVID, I said, wait to see in 2 years financially where the world's going to be. And I live in America, and the guy in charge there has fucked up everything. Our economy's in the gutter, and inflation's gone through the roof. And I guess it's happening here slowly but surely, it's coming this way. I know you're like 6 months behind everywhere else. I'm not saying we're putting things up 20%. That would be harsh to do that in the current environment. but I can't promise they won't go up 3% or 4% or whatever the average inflation is per year. Again, I'm not an economist. But unfortunately, everything rises for us like it does for you too. And if we don't make that 3 or 4 or 5% rise, you know, that's 5% less maybe in the football budget, or it's something we want to do. Look, we don't want to cane our fans. You were so supportive to us during COVID. You know, lots of clubs didn't have what we had, and our fans were just incredible. And yeah, I know there's still a few people angry about that and whatever else, but so many people, the mass majority, took the options that worked in favour of the club. And yet the reward was a freeze for X amount of years. That's why we came up with that, because we thought, well, we're going to do well in the championship. This was before we got promoted. We had a good idea we were going to get promoted.
We already do.
Yeah, no, but typically before. So,
he says his words.
And if I look back to the day, I was decided we were in that run in February. No, I don't think so. But the point is that we had a pretty good. I was very, very optimistic. You know, in the last season, I was pretty much. I would have bet my life on us getting promoted. So, everyone who took that option or whatever, they're protected for a period of time. 20%, we wouldn't do that to our fans. No way. Not well. These guys, I'm sure they'd agree with me right now publicly.
No, we certainly wouldn't.
You know,
In case Jason says
when
no.
everyone's suffering, the last thing you want to do is punish people who are suffering. Do you know what I mean? Equally. So we'll always try and be fair, and we'll always try and improve and do better. But you know, during COVID, you know, we bought a stadium. We put money into the stadium as well. There were things going on. We had the flooding. You know, Noah's Ark happened.
I think we had 2 floods, right?
You know, the insurance company battles, the having to get things done. I mean, it was just an absolute nightmare. I mean, it was the kick in the nuts. It was like, who killed a black cat around the place? So, a lot of stuff's happened, and then obviously trying to win a promotion with no income whatsoever, you know, bar robbing Peter to pay Paul, and luckily he's selling Ivan Toney. So, really, it was miracle work, and we're trying to be sensible this year, and I know you think we're still expensive, but it is the championship, and trying to create a budget and trying to bring in players, and you know what players are like. If there's a bigger TV deal, they want all the money. You know, if there's a promotion, guess what? Everyone smells money. The amount of times I've heard the words new contract, and that's not just off players, by the way. You know, that'll be off the guy on the gate. I mean, everyone thinks because it's championship, it's like more money, new contracts. I'm sick of hearing it. You know, it's like, we're here 5 minutes, give us a chance. So my answer to that would be, you know, we're not going to kill you. We'll be very fair. Chris is over there. If you want to blame anyone, I call him the new Mr. 10%, because he loves a good 10% price rise and everything. And he's always suggesting it to me. I say, Chris, you can't do that to our fans. All right, you just can't do that.
I think you're being a little...
I'm joking.
Totally joking. That just got edited out.
Exactly.
Actually, before you go on, I wouldn't mind saying that, you know, keep a dialogue with us on this, but remember, we're in the championship with a 9,000 person fan base. And I have to be honest, you said this right from day one, that if we're looking at a new stadium, like, are we actually going to get to 20? I believe we can get 18,000 in the stadium, but it might be 9,000 of our people and 9,000 of theirs. And I don't know that that's how we want to do things. And then you have to make the decision, is our desire, I mean, I think the three of us have a little bit of a Napoleon complex, like take Portugal, but we're not done. We're going to take Spain, France, you know, we're just going, we love the growth. And we think we've got a good plan for growth.
Not tonight, Josephine.
Yeah.
Headache.
But the reality is, we're a championship club with 9,000 fans.
Yeah,
I think, they're a great 9,000 fans.
Fantastic 9,000 fans or more. You have to remember, as Stewart says, we are in the championship. I looked at the table this morning and I sort of mentally went through those, and I thought, gee, there's only one club in this 24 club championship that hasn't played in the First Division or Premier League, and we're it.
I haven't looked at the table since the day we got promoted. It's the only time I looked at the table in 2 years. Swear to God.
So it's a challenging league, very expensive league, a lot of big competitors, and you know, we have to be respectful of that and do what we can.
Gentleman here. Good evening. Thank you very much for your time.
No worries, pal.
My question's regarding recruitment. Over the years, we've gone with the policy of young, hungry players from lower leagues. It's worked out very well. Currently in the championship, I would say our best players have been, best signings have been Norburn and Cornell, who don't really fit that mould.
Okay.
And also playing championship football, where every point is a fight to get hold of.
Sure.
It's going to be a lot harder to bring young, lower league talent in and get them the game time they need and throw them into that environment. to get them the playing time and to get them to settle into the team like you would in League One.
Sure.
Will we look to change our transfer policy and look to sign more experienced players, more just a flat no?
Two things. It's one thing affording them and another thing they want to come here. The only experienced players who wanted to come to us in the summer that were offered to us, and we can go after them, had release clauses in their contracts. If you get relegated, we can go for free. So that was their mindset before they signed. The second part of the mindset was they wanted twice what our current players were. Do you want people like that at our football club? Honest question.
No, of course
okay,
not.
So
No.
Our leading goal scorer at the moment, where do we buy him from?
Yeah, we got it from
Where do we
Bristol.
buy him from? No, Grimsby.
Oh,
No, we
sorry,
bought him from
Dembele,
Grimsby.
sorry.
Right. Brentford got promoted. Where did Ivan Toney come from? Where did Rico Henry come from?
Yeah, and
No, just some obvious questions here. Where did Ollie Watkins come from? Okay, I mean, I'm just going through League 2, League 1, whatever. So, you start going through the clubs, you start going through the process, and people hate hearing you say trust the process. Coventry were a fucking disaster last year at the start. Ironed out their issues and are very good this year. Would you agree?
Oh, very good.
Go through their team and tell me where the majority of their players came from. So again, we can keep harping on about the recruitment was shit. The recruitment wasn't good. We need to change our policy. And I would go back to and go, well, actually, no, it's everything we want it to be. We've got 2 players from our academy in the 11 in our last 2 wins. One of them is like our second leading goal scorer, and he's 19. The other one's an 18-year-old who is magnificent and will be magnificent. Our leading goal scorer is from Grimsby. And then you go through the team and you say, Jack Taylor's probably the best central midfielder we've had for 7, 8, 9 years. He came from Barnet. And I could sell him tomorrow to 4 top 4 championship clubs. So I get what you're saying, and it's like if you get some experience, do you really think bringing in a player on 12, 14 grand a week with a release clause in his contract would have got us more wins in the last 5 games? Just an honest question.
I think possibly players more experience, but I'm not sure about the ins and outs of people's contracts and release clauses and things like that.
Sure,
And
give me one. Give me one.
A player that I would have signed.
Yeah.
I'm
not having to dig at you, by the way. I just, people, look, recruitment's my thing, so obviously I'm going to get defensive. But at the same time, I'll hold my hands up and go when I'm wrong. And I honestly don't think we got recruitment wrong this summer. And I think,
I've not for one second said I thought we have.
No.
I'm just saying some
and
of
you
the
haven't,
better
you're right.
signings have
And
been
I
the
look
other
at
ones.
I have to balance everything. And I have to get things correctly. So if I go and sign a 14 grand a week 32-year-old who averages 28 games a year because his legs are semi-gone, who wants a release clause, or I can go and spend £1 million over 5 years on Joel Randall, who potentially could be worth 20 million in 3 years' time to us, which will benefit this club right through to the academy, to the facilities, keep your prices down below 20% inflation on season tickets. Which one do you want me to sign? Because sometimes that is the quandary I have when it comes to recruitment. Now, Norburn was a terrific example of good recruitment, the right time for the right reason. They wanted £1 million for him 2 summers ago. I don't want to pay £1 million for a 28-year-old. So I went and I borrowed Reece Brown instead. Job done, he got us promoted, great guy. And it was a lot less than £1 million. So then in the summer, this summer, we got wind of he was available and not wanted by the manager, specifically. And the price was a lot lower. And I got on the phone and I said, I did a deal, and these 2 didn't know about the deal, and were maybe a little bit angry about that deal at the time, you know, because of the age
I
and
might
money.
not have been supportive.
Yeah, but I did the deal anyway. I got it done and I let them know afterwards. Sometimes it's best to ask for forgiveness, you know. So we did the deal, and the only reason I did the deal was after spreading the money over 20 years to pay for it, and it was like a lot lower than even $500,000. He took a pay cut to come. So the minute I knew he wanted to take a pay cut, what did it tell me about the player?
He wants to be it.
He wanted to break his legs to play in the championship at 28. And he wanted it to happen. And he would walk across hot coals to do it. I want that guy in my dressing room. As opposed to the other guy who wants an out clause.
Yeah.
It's a fine line. Now in saying that, if the manager comes to me and says, there's this 32-year-old, and he's going to make a massive difference to our team, and he comes and he says, I want you to do it, and he begs me to do it, will I give him what he wants? Probably. Probably.
And you've done
for the right reason, and I've done it before.
Like with George Boyd.
I've done it, correct.
We didn't have any names.
I didn't want to do that deal. I didn't want to do the deal. And Barry, I'll tell you, I did it. And sentiment got in the way, and I love the boy, but it was the wrong deal for the wrong position. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But it was fine, it all worked out well. He did us a favour in the end when he signed off, you know, during COVID, so I'll be forever thankful to him for that. So it's all about balancing things up, weighing it up, what can we bring in, what can't we bring in, the right player at the right time. And don't forget, this is the really weird thing this summer. Peterborough at the top of League One, favourites to win promotion. It's a lot easier to sign players than Peterborough have just been promoted to the Championship. That makes no sense, but it does make sense. Because you got players that think, well, I'm going to be in a league-winning title position, so I'm going to be flying and it's going to look good. Or fuck, I'm going to go there and struggle at the bottom of the Championship. Nah, I'd rather go to the top of League One. So that became a situation in the summer where agents would say, the only reason my player would come if you make it worth my while. It wasn't about the ambition, it wasn't about... And then geography came into it. There was one player specifically, we've been after him for a long time as well, and he was from the north, and he didn't want to move this way. And that was it. It was just geography. He took less money to go to another club in the Championship because of geography. And sometimes you can't overcome geography. Players nowadays are a lot softer than players in the old days who fucking travel 1,000 miles to play. They are. You know, they're a lot more like henpecked and want to like stay around where mum and dad are and whatever. But that's just the modern footballer. They're different, you know. We live in a different world now, don't we? So, you know, don't get me started on woke Tokyo. So is there anything else on recruitment before I get my bow and arrow in?
With Thompson also, he was a great signing for us and has been, and they're just not fit our usual mould. And I think some of those signings have worked out really well recently. I just wondered whether we would look to get a few.
Yeah, we signed Nathan when he was 29.
Yeah.
And he was a fantastic free signing. You know, we signed obviously. Yeah, one of the players of the year. I'd agree with that. You know, not great on Saturday, but definitely one of the players of the year.
Yeah, I don't remember.
You know, we signed Beavers, and again, there was a reason we signed him. You know what I mean? Because he come from the Championship. He was 28, 29 when we signed him. It was fine. It's more dangerous signing in the Championship a player at that age and the money they want, and being left with that, you know, on your wage bill if they're not playing. And we only have so much we can spend, and you have to make the most of what you got. So, you know, given the choice, I feel very good about all the recruitment. I know a lot of people don't see it, and they're not feeling it, but they will.
Look at the home performances.
Yeah, like I just said.
The home performances prove that this squad is good enough.
Correct, and they are good.
For whatever reason, and nobody knows why, otherwise we'd already be sorting it.
Correct.
They can't play that way away from.
And if they could, we'd be top two. And you're right.
Because we deserve more points from home games than
You're
actually got.
You're right. And we will fix that.
We don't deserve to have lost any of them.
No, you're right.
We've been excellent home. You wouldn't believe it's the same team watching away from home.
Well, maybe you play a big part in that. And the home fans play a big part in that. And you're absolutely right, but we'll fix that.
And I'll still maintain the reason we beat Hull was because we played them last season. They knew they could beat Hull because we beat them there last year.
Believe
they knew that team.
I agree.
They knew they could beat them. They don't believe they can go to the...
You're going in the dressing room tomorrow. You're going in there, you're going to tell them before the game. Actually, next away game.
Next away game.
Going back to recruitment.
Thank you.
Recruitment is spot on.
Thank you. I don't disagree.
Because for 15 years, you know what you're doing.
Sure.
Whether it's trust the process or not, I trust you 100%.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, we've got one question from this gentleman here.
Oh, sorry, Phil, I'm in a hurry. I was just enjoying the praise for once.
That's more praise than you get at home.
My man. I can give you that money later.
Okay, my name's Marco. I heard somebody say about getting some energy and traction behind fans in relation to the stadium project. I don't know who it was, but Stewart and I know that Jason know that the trust has made a proposal around that. I think that's wrong to say that, because if you just say it's up to the fans, that's completely unfocused. It needs to be organised. That's the view that we've taken on the trust. Anyway, that's one point. Mm-hmm. The second point is just high level, no detail. Let's wind forward a year. Planning permission is proceeding. Mm-hmm. Just tell me high level, if you can, what's the financial model that you're going to be using in terms of, will the ground be purchased, will it be leased, where will the money come to buy the stadium?
You just asked all the questions as to why we're sitting, waiting for the pot. Like, do we buy the land? Are we on a 100-year lease? What if we're not on the embankment? What if we're somewhere else?
We'd love to know those answers.
All those questions you just asked are exactly why now is not the right time to spend £1 million.
So what's the preferred model, the financial structure that you'd like?
Well, I think the interesting part about the three of us, if we just did a quick straw poll across this, you'll find 3 separate answers. I'm actually probably a fan of the 100-year lease. I'm also probably a fan, to Darragh's point, of maybe the city owns a piece of the stadium that faces the university, which is more community focused. So I'm fine with a partnership model, and I say fine, but I notice that was tepid, it wasn't strong.
I think what Andy's also saying is the city could play some part in funding, even if it was interest low. I know they funded a hotel for 15 million and a bank loan for like 2%. It'd be nice to have some of that action towards something that would create a lot of jobs in the city.
But I've never asked you this. I mean, would you rather own it outright?
Look, whether it's a lease, owning an outright, it's the same pretty much thing if you're there for 100 years. I think from a financial point of view, we have a naming rights deal that we do that would also draw down a lot of money to start the building. You would then have the interest-free only loan from there, and there would be also third-party financing on top of that. And we'd sell a player. You're talking about a 60 to 70 million pound project, you know, with a lot of moving parts, but with a hell of a lot of revenue to come, you know, for the football club, for the city. So that's actually, I think that's the easiest part to piece together. It's giving us the land and the okay and the approval. At the moment, you know, they want like £1 million to be spent on a tree hugging study or whatever.
It's birds.
Bird watching thing or whatever it is. And I'm not up for that. Without knowing if we have any land, without knowing what we're getting, without knowing what £1 million, you no problem, you're right, fucking Jack. You sound like my wife, you know. Sorry, darling, if you're watching at home.
I do want to just, my last comment was going to be, money is the easiest part of business. With all due respect, like I tell
that kind of project will raise a lot of money.
Yeah, I tell all the startups in the world that if you can't raise capital, that's probably something to do with your business model or your business plan. And I think our business model and our business plan is absolutely solid. So raising capital, or doing it ourselves, or
we've done all the models and whatever. It's very feasible.
Absolutely.
But it will be really contingent on the location, won't it?
It's absolutely
correct.
Just to address Stuart's comment, I would be in favour of actually owning the land rather than a lease. So, you know,
welcome to the 3 answers.
But I don't think there's one way or the other is definitely the right answer.
Okay,
there's a lot of opportunity.
Just a quick question for Darragh about football.
Recruitment?
No.
What 38-year-old are we signing from Syria?
So if Darren was here,
sure.
and I asked him, you know, you'd want to be a Premiership manager, and it'd be a rhetorical question, because you'd say, of course I do.
Yeah.
But my question to you is, will it be with Peterborough United?
Will Darren be a Premier League man with Peterborough United?
We can only dream.
The one thing I've learned is nothing's impossible in football. You know, Blackpool are showing. They've adapted better to Championship life than we have. So they're playing better, they're coaching better, but I know we can do the same. And that's not me even a dig at our players or our manager, that's just facts. We have as good a chance as anyone. You look at Coventry and Luton this year. You know, don't write Coventry off, they've got a chance. Luton as well in spats. Why can't that be us next year, the year afterwards? There's things you learn as well. I learned so much from last time we were in this league. I'm learning at the moment some of the things that we need to tweak for next summer. Already thinking of recruitment next summer. To make us a better side, not just at home but away from home as well. The little things, you know, we went to Chelsea pre-season, and the first thing I made the remarks when we played there, some of their first team, some of their under 23s, the physicality of some of their players was fucking astonishing. They were monsters. You know, I was stood next to 19-year-old boys. When I was 19, I was a beanpole. God knows what Jason looked like at 19. But I was,
a thin beanpole.
Wearing the same shirt back then. So you know, I'm looking at these.
Just careless.
He robbed my mom's curtains. So when I'm, you know, 19, I'm looking at these 19-year-olds and they're like supermen. And that straight away, what did I do the following day? I had a meeting and talk with all the sports scientists at the academy at our ground and went, right, everyone that's 15 to 19, how do we turn our youngsters into those 19-year-olds? We've got 4 years to do it now. Because that is the way football's going. Players at that age are more physical, they're quicker, they're stronger. You know, they're fitter. You know, how can we make sure our boys from the academy are fed the same food, the same workouts, you know, are given the same like diets, whatever it needs to be done to get better. Because for our club, if we want to get to the Premier League, it's inches, and it's every inch counts. So it would not shock me if we were in the Premier League in 4 or 5 years. It wouldn't. It's not beyond us. And I know after COVID, nothing's beyond us. Because to get kicked in the nuts, to get thrown out of a playoff place, COVID happened, take all our income, come back from that, and the horribleness of what happened then, and win a promotion the way we did, tells me anything is possible with this football club. Anything.
You're not wrong, Darragh. Every inch does count.
So your missus tells me?
Nothing's under.
That includes girth, Philip.
I'm David, long-term supporter. You may well have heard the news today that a team below us, I'm not talking about Hull, have sacked their manager. They've obviously pressed the panic button.
Barnsley, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yes. I mean, I'm sure most fans here say if we finish fourth and bottom, that's a good season for us. So I just hope that we wouldn't be in that position. We would, you know, whatever the results are at the moment. I know you can't guarantee the bottom, but...
Look, I can't speak for my partners, but having pressed the panic button and pulled the trigger too many times, you know, like a bad John Wayne character from the Wild West, and fired quite a few managers. I've got older and a little bit more mature with that. And for me, if the worst ever happened, who's the best person to get you promoted again? The guy who's done it X amount of times. So, no, the manager, last time I fired him when I should have fired the team. You know, during League One. I should have. You know, we got to the end of the cycle with that team, and I should have like got rid of the team. I should have said to the manager that February, listen, fuck the rest of the season. I'm binning them all in the summer. You take a rest if you want, or get on with it, but I'm backing you. And that's what I should have done, and I wasn't brave enough. But as I got older, my advice to these two would be, look, he's very, very good. You know, he's fighting against all the odds. I get what people go, yeah, but in the championship, this, that, whatever else. He knows our club inside out. Everything about the youth policy, what we do, is exactly what we want. And that would be where I stand. So whether we, you know, won 20 games in a row or didn't, it'd be the same for me, and I'm sure, I don't know if you guys agree.
Yeah, I mean, a key part of our strategy is the development of youth.
Yeah.
Or the recruitment of younger, hungry players, and then the development of those.
Yeah.
And Darren has, you know, proved very successful at that, and is fully committed to that process. You could hire someone else we've had those people during our tenure who are not committed to that process, which is not in the best interest of the club.
Yeah, I just want to be the third vote to say I'm not going without saying I'm backing the manager. Like, I just love the culture here. We have a way we do things. We're all on it. We have great meetings.
Had one this morning.
I would rather go into a hurricane with the 5 or 6 people that are the senior management than try to figure out how to do it. And we've done it before. I've been here in the, you know, we were at the end of Grant's and the beginning of Steve's, and we've seen different cultures. This is just the right one.
And that's no vote of confidence headline, by the way.
That was not a shot on anybody else. That was a shot to say the culture here works so well. Like, it'd be a form of insanity to get rid of our guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he is such a better manager now, having had the licks and the disappointments. And it was great he went to Donny, and he did well at Donny. Didn't do well at Donny, then he did well. I just think that's made him such a better... It's my plans worked all along. Get rid of him, get him out to the pros, get experience, bring him back. You know what I mean? It's like your kid, you kick out of the house, you send him to boarding school, you bring them back, they're a little more experienced. You know, it's worked very well. It's a well thought out process 15 years ago.
Okay, we've got a question over here.
We've got an under-23 side at the moment that seems to be awash with talent.
Yep.
And get some excellent results against the under-23s from the Premier League teams.
Yep.
When are we actually going to be able to see them?
Well, the problem is if you see them and they don't do well on a bad run, can you imagine what people say about the recruitment then? And then you're killing the under-23 players, you know. So you are seeing some, and you will see some. There are players who you know, Ronnie played some of those games at the start of the season as well as the under-18s, come into the first team.
Harrison.
H played a couple of games. Poku now is finding his fitness, doing really well in those games. Carl Barker's been outstanding.
Yeah.
It's too easy for him that level. He's captain of the under-23s. He stood out really well. Ricky's coming back next week. He'll be playing those games. Matty Edrington will get him up to speed so he can then re-engage with the first team squad. We're very happy with that. I've got a couple of gems up my sleeve that I'm signing in the next few weeks that are going to go into that team as well. One of them is reminds me of a certain Mr. Dwight Gale. So they're going to go in that as well. And Matty's doing a good job with that. And the manager knows what he's got in there. But I think he also wants to be protective and not rush the process. Trust the process, rush the process. Of taking a kid from there, throwing him into a 3-0 or a 4-0 horror show and frightening the shit out of that kid and you never see him again. So we just have to be careful, but we're doing the right thing. The 23s was a really, really
When are the
good plan.
fans going to be allowed to see them in the flesh?
So we're working on...
You had a great idea today.
Yeah, I gave Randy an idea of mine today that we're going to do, and don't have a go at me, a subscription type new service for the 23s, the 18s, the 16s, the 14s, the ladies team. So you'll be able to get a package, and now 80, you know, ladies team, it's all the rage. So you can get a sexist pig. So you can get a package soon where you pay X per month and you'll get all those games to watch. You know, you watch the full games, watch highlights, interviews, whatever you want to do. So if your child is in the 12s, the 14s, and you don't get to go to those games, you can watch those games. So, and yes, we're going to monetize that because it is a business as well, but it will be reasonable. And Randy's new service that he's designing with Jason to do with the matchday experience to hopefully replace iFollow will be trial testing that. So, with in-house commentary and stuff. So yeah, there's some good plans afoot.
Do you want to elaborate on that, Randy, in terms of the work that's going on?
Let's go with this, and if somebody actually cares, then they'll ask. How's that?
Yeah.
I like it.
Would you like to
Someone's been
elaborate
brave
on the
nowadays.
plans?
You're good people. I want you to know that.
Okay, that question right at the back.
Evening, gentlemen.
How are you?
As a devout London Road Terrace fan, obviously we'll be in the Championship next season.
Yep. Yeah.
What's going to happen to the London Road Terrace?
We have to spend 7 figures on redoing it. So that's the thing. It might be closed for a few months. So we're going to have to spend over £1 million getting it sorted out, probably more. So that's another bill that we have to contend with.
Unless we can somehow persuade the authorities to give us another year.
Which we won't be able to.
Not a
That was
chance.
my idea to use COVID this year as a mitigating factor to give us an extra year. And it was a Hail Mary and it worked. So
Does the fact we're not intending to go to a new stadium, Hogan?
We have to be further along with the new stadium than we are.
go over there and put a brick in the floor and put our name on it.
So think about it. I mean, literally, we're talking about the £1 million risk we've got with the new stadium. It's actually a £2 million risk because no matter what we do, we have to go forward or backward. You know, and like I say, being stuck right now is a really tough spot to be because we're going to get stuck with a 7-figure bill, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, that's fine. That's life. So, but it will be refurbished.
Is it bolt on?
Worse.
Can't get worse than bolt on.
You said you were in politics, pal.
What's worse?
What's worse than bolt on? What is it exactly? What's our £1 million getting us?
Well, the £1 million is actually just to take it up. Like it's the
Somebody's fucking having a right go at us
Yeah.
with no Vaseline.
It's the asbestos and everything else that's in there. The rebar is actually rotted through, so it's unfortunately that taking it up means that we'll probably do bolt on, but it's an expensive process just to get there. Like we actually looked pretty seriously this year, you know, even supporting London Road with sea cans, and then just drop the bolt on top of the sea cans. And the foundation won't even hold the sea cans. So the tough part is the cost is actually pulling it up, not putting bolt-ons just over it.
Anyone in demolition in here wants
Yeah.
to do a home discount job?
It's the day after Halloween and I'm still Grim Reaper.
I'll drop a grenade on the place.
Yeah.
Anybody got a question at the back whilst I'm here? No? Okay. Anybody got a question at the front? I was literally just over there. Literally.
They're making you work, Phil.
Oh.
Quit moaning, Phil.
I know, yeah. Where was it? Loads of them. There we go.
Can you tell us why we're not taking part in the trophy this year, this season?
Because we're not allowed to.
You have to have Cat A.
So
You have to have category 1.
Yeah.
Cat 1. If you have cat 1, you can do it.
The only way to do that is to be relegated.
No, you can do it if we have category 1.
I know.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
How do we go about safe standing now that we've lost Bob? And is there anything going to be done for Bob?
Bob was not the only person who
No,
was
I
a
know
fan of safe standing. Like, we are very committed to it.
Bob's still with us in capacity,
Absolutely.
by the way.
Yeah.
So Bob is still a director of the club. We're really happy and proud to have him with us.
Yeah, he'll play a big part in all of that, but
yeah. Good question.
Right, chaps, good to see you again. What would you say, given everything that's happened the last 18 months or so in particular, the biggest challenge for you individually and collectively, not just with football, but in your own personal lives? Like, has it changed you in any way, or has it made you appreciate things a bit more? Because there's been a lot to obviously deal with for everyone, including yourselves.
Wasn't ready for that question.
Yeah, I can answer. So for 3 years I have a daughter, and I have 2 daughters, very happy to have you. And from the age of 12 to 15, my youngest daughter campaigned for a new dog. And it was like, a tidal wave of requests for this dog. One day she summoned us all to the TV and put on a PowerPoint presentation about why it's important for the family to have a dog. So we got this dog called Max, that we now call. Yeah. We got this dog, this puppy. Anybody have a little puppy? And I was really against this dog, okay, because we already have an older dog that we love called Sam. Anyway, so we got this new dog, little puppy, and what does a puppy do in a new house? It wheezes everywhere, right, non-stop. So I started to hate this dog. Then every Christmas I make a roast turkey for the family. That's one of my special skills. And I brined the turkey. You usually put it in a big bucket of water with onions and vegetables and things. And I brined it for 24 hours. And I made the stuffing, and my daughter and I normally stuff the bird. Suddenly from the garage where the brine was, we heard a scream. And my wife came in looking like white. I assumed that someone had died. No, the dog had eaten the turkey. This was just one of many things the dog did for a long time. And needless to say, I started to hate this dog. Then COVID happened, and I started to hike, and I started to hike around our property and mountains, and the dog started to follow me. And I was like, go away, you silly dog. And it followed me and followed me and followed me. And throughout COVID, we've become really good friends, and now it's my best friend. So that's what COVID has done for me. It's now called Fluffy, for those of you who are interested.
There you go, Fluffy. I call my balls Fluffy. Oh my man. For me, I guess it's summed up that I feel very blessed and lucky where I live. And it's like, choose where you live carefully after the madness we've seen in the last 18 months. And I've lived in Florida, thank fucking God, where we only had 2 weeks lockdown the whole time. And the rest of the time we had normal life. And I've realised early on, and throughout COVID, I'd given my life for my kids just to go back to school. That's how bad things became. And then when you live in life like that, where your children can't go to school, and all the normal freedoms, and you guys have been through all of this, it's a bizarre world we've lived in for 18 months, run by so-called experts, making the decisions on our behalf when we put them in power to do so. It's been challenging. I've definitely got closer to my family, because obviously there's been less travel and more time at home. But I've also motored through and tried to make sure our life's been as normal as possible. We've gone on holiday, we've done things, and listen, don't get me wrong, I've done 80-odd PCR tests and taken the vaccine and done all the right things, not an anti-vaxxer, but I've made sure my children have seen normality as much as possible. And so many people over here didn't get that until recently. And in large parts of America, they still don't have it because it's become so political, like everything else. I've appreciated the football club, particularly after what we went through. And that promotion took a lot out of me, like emotionally, physically. I think I'm still paying for it physically, if I'm honest with you. So, but hopefully we're on the other end of it now. The common sense is prevailing, and everyone now has a choice to either get vaccinated or not get vaccinated. You can go to work, you can watch your football, and that's not getting taken from us anytime soon. And I'd probably leave if they mandated vaccine passports for us here. I didn't go to Swansea on Saturday because of that. So I don't believe in it. I'm not having it. And if it was forced on our club, I'd ask these two guys to buy me out.
It was a joke anyway.
What was the joke?
That when you got to Swansea, the stewards all said the signal doesn't work around here anyway.
Oh, I can't even get that bit right.
Yeah, so
Are you serious?
Yeah, as you come down the hill.
Yeah, but I guarantee you,
So the guy just said, yeah, go on in.
they ask directors for all that stuff.
Yeah,
guaranteed.
I just showed a bit of paper from.
Oh, it would have been turned away.
You got to the bottom of the hill, and the steward said, I wouldn't bother checking your phone too much, the signal's shit down this end. And I went, well, I had it in the car, and he went, let me have a look, and he looked at a blank screen, he went, yeah, there, off you go. And I wasn't the only one anywhere near.
I'm just like, yeah.
And he was sober.
And I wish he'd fucking turned me away.
Do you know what? I think he turned all our players away. That wasn't them. Showed up, so.
Funny thing is, in the car park before that game, a Peterborough fan came over to me and said, "Oh, thanks very much for being in the club, and I'm sorry I'm not going to be there on Monday, but I just want to thank you and wish you well." And I said, "What do you think the score's going to be?" They say, "Oh, I think it's going to be terrible. We're going to get stuffed." I was like, "Really? Oh, we're going to be okay. Honestly, I've just left the manager. He's in good spirits. We're confident." Yeah, that lasted about 2 minutes, right?
Yeah. I don't know. You manly COVID. What's it taught you?
Wow. Jason, yeah, a great question. So Jason actually will tell you that I've become the kumbaya leader around the office. I've been kind of known as being a pretty aggressive and fearless. I'm not scared of risk, and usually things were going so fast. I'm running multiple businesses. I was in 30 countries in 2 years, and I know I'm blessed, but we were going around teaching entrepreneurs in emerging economies like how to start businesses, so I've been super blessed. So when travel stops, it was just a completely being at home thing, and just actually looking at my own kind of leadership style has been the biggest thing. And just learning, instead of saying, right, I need this, get it done now, I had to learn actually the first question whenever I meet people is, how are you doing? And that's been tough around the office, because you watch your employees and you don't even know when people are suffering, but you know they are. And just taking the time to take 3 minutes to start a conversation by, what's our ground for this? What's our ground floor for this conversation? Are you okay? Am I okay? And thinking about bigger things, and just literally, I don't know how I'm going to get after COVID. I don't know how I'm going to get back on an airplane doing 3 weeks a weekend, or 3 weeks out of a month, and I just not even interested in it. I was, these guys will tell you, I just became a jet lag expert. I'm not even interested in it anymore. I'm actually more interested in being kind of the leader that asks how you're doing. So that was a great question.
Fair play.
Question just here.
Good evening, all. Question on the here and now, really. You said you were interviewing today for Bob's role, effectively. What's your timelines on that, and what sort of characteristics are you looking for in the new chief executive?
So we had
young and hungry. Can't be a certain age, no experience.
We had 16 interviews.
So we got over 240 applicants. We whittled it down the last couple of weeks to 17.
All good candidates too.
And that became 15. All very good, accomplished candidates. Some young and hungry, some more experienced. A nice blend. People with football experience, people with not football experience. CEOs of other clubs, believe it or not. Shouldn't have said that out loud. There's a good quality, there's a good array of talent there. What are we looking for? Bob did a magnificent job. He was here 15 years, and I said it today, he deserves to enjoy his ever-expanding family and more grandkids. And we're going to miss him. I'm gutted he's made that call. But he made that call, and we were okay, we respected that for the reasons he made it.
I mean, we tried to persuade him to stay.
Of course we did. And as soon as he made it clear, we were like, okay, now who do we need and what do we need? And what we need is what we've got. We've got collectively a group of really good staff members, different departments that run themselves really well. Whether it be Phil, whether it be Chris, whether it be Alex, whether it be Dawn, whether it be Liz, they're all mini CEOs in what they do. So they really need somebody to maybe push them to the next level. In other words, is there another gear in all of them? And I think there is, which would benefit the football club. And somebody who's a good leader, good communicator, good with the community as well, can get involved. You know, like Bob did with the fans. You know, Bob was an easy ear and open door policy. You could go see him about anything, and he could resolve and solve issues, and that was a good strength of his. And somebody with the energy for the next decade to match our ambition of growth on the pitch, off the pitch. So that's the kind of candidate we're looking at. And yeah, interesting day so far. And tomorrow will be another interesting day. We'll what? Of course, yes, of course. Yeah, I'm not like 80, I'm not a sexist. By the way, they're very good looking female. I'm joking. I'm joking. Before fucking CNN shoot me or whatever. So we've got more tomorrow. We whittle that down after that then to the final 3 that we'll reseat. And from that then they will start probably. Oh yeah, baby. I'll get him in a Baker Street. Anyway, we're going to be on the karaoke now. And we're going to whittle it down, and then whoever gets hired will most likely start the 2nd of January, 2nd, 3rd of January. There's no point in getting someone starting in December with Christmas coming and family commitments, but they will shadow Bob, they'll shadow Jim while he's here. And Jim's been really good, loads of experience, he stepped in. He has no interest in being the CEO, he never did. He just wanted to basically help us, and he was brought in, and he did us a favour.
Great,
he's been brilliant.
Yeah.
So, and he's also helping in the process, as it's good. He knows a lot of people in the game, know a lot of the people we're seeing, and throws some interesting questions during the interview process, which is us 3 plus him, and which is funny at times because my style of interviewing is quite unique. I like to throw curveballs at people, so yeah, so January they'll start, and yeah, looking forward to it.
I just want to tell Bob's story. I come to the club, everything's so, calm, order. There's not a lot about the ownership group that is calm and order. I believe actually that's, we do really a good job around here. We love doing it, but, Bob was so good at almost being a point guard, right? And I know a number of times we've been in a meeting and we go, darn it, Bob, we need this tomorrow. And Bob would go, oh yeah, I already did that last week. I called so-and-so, right? He'd be 3 steps ahead of you. Or if he wasn't 3 steps ahead of you, you go, darn it, Bob, we need this for tomorrow. And then in the afternoon, he's already called the mayor's office or the caterer, or, the Rolodex was 100 million miles long. And he was so good at either figuring out what we were going to do next or figuring out what we're already thinking about. And that's going to be very, very hard to replace.
And he's so well respected in the EFL community.
Oh, he's so calm. Never lost his shit.
No.
Yeah. So we're going to miss him big time.
Just one more question, bringing it back to the ground for you,
sure.
Randy. The survey you talk about, is that the one that's been doing the rounds, like we're talking Peterborough and Bangor?
Yes, correct.
So that ends, 2nd of November?
Yeah.
Looking at the email.
Oh, that's tomorrow, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, good to know.
That's what
you're all doing tonight.
Lots of opportunities for you all to write in and participate in that survey.
Everyone get your phones.
So, do you know what those timelines are following that survey then?
We don't. So the city has said to us that the master planning process they're doing right now is not tied to the permit process. So I want to, if Wayne and the gang was here, they would say, whoa, you guys go ahead and keep going. We have to do this anyway as part of what we're doing. And we've already told you our uncomfortableness. We've had 2 meetings with them. That nothing I'm saying tonight or we're saying tonight has, we haven't said to Jillian or Wayne at the city, which is, we're in a really tough spot, chicken and egg, betwixt between, we look for some leadership there. I have a feeling if we wait for the city's results, we're looking at the end of February. See, I am the Grim Reaper tonight. That was the first time this room's been deathly silent.
Actually, end of February is not so bad.
Yeah, why don't you ask everybody here?
Well, we've waited.
It is what it is.
Years. I mean, so
yeah. So I think that's the push, right? And then by then we have to make the decision on London Road. So you can see in the next 60 days we have some pretty serious decisions on what we're doing.
I wasn't going to ask about the stadium, but I will.
Yeah, might as well.
And then I've got another one I was going to ask.
I can feel it getting warm here, by the way.
Yeah, I can imagine. I think even those who didn't want to leave here, obviously, except that this has got to happen. And Boozy, who you know, my mate, who's nearly 80 now, has sort of said, I'll probably never see it because he's a bit depressed at the moment. But I'll probably never see it, but it's the right way to go. So I think that's taken on board. And I think the number one is city centre, absolutely
100%.
Got to be, and the embankment, as is the plan at the moment, or the hope at the moment, is 100% the choice. However, if, as Peterborough is famous for, it fucks it up, the option of across the parkway, although I gather there's an awful lot of negatives about it for varying reasons.
The city doesn't own the land.
Well, there's the biggest negative,
I don't
and
know why
if it's
people
Milton
keep throwing it out
Estates, then you've got no chance of getting it for less than about 100 million from what I gather. But anyway, if, God forbid, that was the only option, and it's not feasible, and for whatever reason the embankment became a no-no, do you have an alternative plan, or an alternative
We've looked at alternatives, and none of them are attractive.
Yeah.
No.
When I hate to say it, once you get past A, they're all pretty ugly, including this one. So.
I mean, it's very difficult. I mean, we were scheduled to host Euro 2022 female matches here, which we were all really excited about.
I was busy that night. Sorry, Dan has asked me to stand up to the stereotypes, so I thought I would.
It's very nice of you.
At least he's consistent.
I'm not going to make any comment. Anyway, we were denied that opportunity because of the ground isn't suitable for those games. You had to have a certain boundary between the pitch and the stand, which we couldn't. It hasn't been massive, but ours are so tight that we don't conform to the standards necessary to put on in this national match.
They are correct dimensions, because they're perfect. You don't want any bigger than that. The last question, flippantly aside, can you sort of break down, any three of you, but I know who'll grab it, can you break down the difference between Championship and Division 1 financially, assuming that we're going to virtually sell out most games here, and what the crowds will be away, and also prize money and all that sort of stuff? Because there's a lot of figures thrown around that range from 3 to 4 to 9 to 10.
So you're off the bat, if you talk TV money, solidarity money, commercial, extra gates, you're probably on the back end of 7 million. Now, if you're talking player sales, more, because your players are worth considerably a lot more money. Somebody buying a Peterborough United player in the Champ to League One, a lot more. Particularly outside of the COVID recession that we've had in the transfer market itself. So, yeah, you're always talking 7 million plus minimum. And there's still, and people think, we must be awash with money. No, we paid out like 1.3 million in bonuses alone last summer just for the promotion to staff, players, everybody. Everyone had pay rises. That includes people in this room, not just footballers, everybody, and deservedly so, by the way. And then the players, everything becomes more expensive. And even like you're thinking, well, it's COVID, there must be, wages, expectations. No, everything gets pricier. Then you got the players' bonuses. That was another Zoom conversation, fun chat I had in the summertime with the leadership committee. I burnt those motherfuckers on Zoom. Like very quickly they started throwing some of the figures at me, and it was, as I said, we're Peterborough United, not Manchester United, lads. Back the fuck down here. Like be sensible. So there was no excess money. There's so, and then there's so much that had to be spent. Obviously the dome we've had other bits and bobs. No, there was no spare dough left over. You'd think, there must be a nice excess of mil, or maybe a couple of mil, and no such thing. Now, next year could be different. The year after could be different as we keep growing. And you're right, we're nearly selling everything out. You make it a place where you're getting better commercial deals and things are improving, and we're balancing the books really well, and there's a bit of excess, and we're reducing debt where it needs to be. We want to be a really well-run football club. We don't always want it to be the case where, what did we lose last year in League One, 3.7 million or something? That's not sustainable for our football club, is it? So I hate to see those figures. I want to get away from seeing those figures. And I also want to reduce the debt out, whether it's to me or these guys down the line. Not in League One, but in the Championship. If you sell a player for 15 million, you want to take some of that debt off the table. Because to put the club in a position where it doesn't owe anybody any money is the best gift you can give anybody when you're running a football club. And the academy and what's happening there is going to help that come to fruition. You know, not today, but in time.
And I promise it'll be the last one for me for the night.
For now.
The worst thing that's the worst thing that's ever happened to this football world in our great country, which has got the best football in the world by far, is Premier League and parachute payments. Parachute payments are the most, to be rewarded for £210 million for failure is just like incredible. But turkeys don't vote for Christmas. Has there ever been, I know somebody asked you on Twitter the other day, has there ever been any discussion at the Championship, which was always above our level, but at the champion level about them doing a version of that?
There's been proposals to scrap parachute payments. There are people within the EFL.
No, sorry,
he's talking about League One to the Champions.
Championship down to League One.
It's
So
12
they've
grand.
spoken about that.
That's what it is. It's 12 grand.
So there's a version.
Yeah, it's you never want to suffer that experience, trust me. So it's like that's 12 grand for the other clubs that go back down. No, the disparity is terrible, and that has to change. And the reason it was so important for us to get to the champ, in my opinion, I think the landscape's changed in football, and I was always worried about the champ becoming Prem 2, and I wanted to be in the Prem 2. I didn't want to be in that other league, you know, going, fuck me, it's nearly a closed shop here, and the money's going to be different. So, for example, in the next 2 years, we want to wake up and be getting an extra 5 million in TV money. So straight away, again, improvements we can make to the foot, and that's why it's so important to do well at this level. That's why it's so important when I see everyone losing their shit over a bad game or a bad run. It's like, hold your cool. Let's not make this a doom and gloom place. Because that's just, we know what that's like, that's infectious. It's infectious when you're winning and everyone's behind it, and it's infectious when you're losing and everyone's writing about it, and moaning about it, and calling it the worst team ever. You know, sometimes we lose our shit over the stupidest things. It's a game of football. You know, after what happened to us in COVID, I said that to you, last international break we came out and lost to Middlesbrough. Everyone was just losing their shit. And I remember thinking, God, if you'd offered me this when we were 3-0 down against Lincoln in that game, I'd have given my right hand and gone, I'll have it all day long. You know what I mean? All day long. And I thought about that, I was like, yeah, okay, relax. You know, it's shit at the moment, but it won't be forever. And we've been here, and now we've got to make sure we do really well here. Not stay here, do really well here. And I still believe that. So, you know, we've got good people at the club. On and off the pitch.
Gentleman here, question?
Sorry, Darragh, going to harp on about the Swansea game, but why is our away form so bad?
Why's our away form so bad?
If we knew the answer to that, it wouldn't be.
We were awesome against QPR, and then we
you know. So you're absolutely right. I scale it down. Take Swansea out of the equation and Sheffield United. The other games we lost were spread across 18 minutes. In other words, mini patches. 4 minutes against Coventry, 4 minutes against Luton, 6 minutes against another club, Reading, in spats. And that's a confidence issue. And that is the Championship. And that is, I think Cornell probably had 5 shots to save on Saturday and we conceded 3, but that's not on him. That's how good Championship players are. You can get away with a crap performance like that in League One and possibly dig out a draw. This is a different muscle, a different level. We feel braver at home because we've been a brilliant home team for 3 years and long may that continue. And our players just feel differently when they show up here. And they're still finding their feet and it's horrific away from home at the moment, but they will get better. And the manager, we get a win, a couple of wins going into the international break, you know, God willing. I like that laughing over there about a couple of wins. Then the manager and the staff have to figure out once again during the next break, you know, how do we solve the away issue? And I still feel we'll win away games. And I still feel February onwards, when some teams have given up the ghost and aren't going up and aren't going down, we've got to play those teams. And we're a good second half team of the season. And home and away, I'll fancy us then. So all I'll say to people is, every time we lose badly, keep your cool. You know, they're an honest bunch of lads. They know what happened on Saturday. That wasn't them and they let themselves down. But they were magnificent in the previous 2 games. And it's going to be like this. What did I say to you guys in the summer? I sat these guys down in June or May in the recruitment meeting and said, by the way, lads, just so you know, the Championship's not like League One. Don't expect to win every fucking game when we play next year. And it was almost like a look of really. Okay. I'm just like, it's not that league. It's an exhausting league where you're playing massive teams. Like massive teams with massive wage bills. But that doesn't mean we can't do well. but don't expect to win 5 in a row. You know, it's going to take time to get to that level, and there's going to have to be a little bit of patience, and we're going to have to hold our nerve.
We did invite the gaffer today, and he said we had it, so it was out. But he did ask us to pass on, because you're not a table watcher at this early stage, which I think is actually smart. But he did want to remind us all that if we win tomorrow night, we won 3 or 4.
And he's right.
Yes.
And he's right. And he's right. And he's absolutely right. And if we don't win tomorrow, or we win tomorrow, or we don't win tomorrow, win on Saturday, or reverse, or lose, whatever else, it doesn't define our season.
Carry on.
So it doesn't define our season. And that's all I'll say. Look, we've come through a lot, and we've waited a long time for you all to be back. Let's not blow that and turn on each other. So, you know, I include the press in that. I dug them out a bit last week, they didn't like that. I know Swanee probably didn't like that. But I just felt like it's too early. As bad as we've been, just give it a bit of time. Do you know what I mean?
Panic button, I'll come back.
Yeah, just give it a bit of time. That's. I think these boys deserve a little bit more time. You know, they've been really good to us for 20 months, and whenever they've let us down, they've bounced back. And the ultimate payoff was promotion, and they did it. And that was a hell of a promotion.
I've only seen 2 good teams all season.
There you go.
Genuinely.
Darragh, have you upset Sky as I see we've got no televised games in?
I don't know. I mean, they asked me to go on there every bloody week. You know, and I've purposely said no for a couple of months. Have I upset them? No, I don't think so. I was fair what I said at the time. It was the Wayne Rooney show when they did that game. I'm sure anyone who watched that game back or whatever else, it's like, I understand they have to cover the big team. But fuck me, we've just beaten them, and you know, 90% of the coverage is about Wayne Rooney. So if I've upset them, so be it. I couldn't care.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, monetary-wise, being on TV for Sky is actually not that great.
No, we would have made more money at the away crowd. So they've already screwed up our January plans, haven't they? We were going to Dubai pre-season.
Yeah.
To get out of the bad weather, we always budgeted to take the lads warm weather for the second half season, get out of the country, have 5 days away. I think it was after the Bournemouth game early January. We were booking it, and they changed the game from the Saturday to the Monday night. So that's completely screwed that trip up for us. And we didn't get a choice in the matter. So now I'm trying to dive around, and we're not going to go to Dubai. We're going to have to go to Portugal and try and find time at the end of Jan. But you know, that's the deal you sign with the devil, and they're good devils because they pay well. And you know, we wouldn't have it any other way until the next TV deal.
Excuse me, Darragh, did you say the Bournemouth game's on the Monday night?
Yes,
I don't know
it's
if
been
that's-
moved.
Is it public?
I've got my trainer.
Is that public?
Yeah,
it's public.
Oh, thank God. I was about to kick him and say,
Is that not public, Phil?
Yeah, it is public. Yes,
The Sky hate me even more.
Yeah, Sky.
Well, you should have known. It's been public for ages, all right? What are you doing, booking a train woman? For fuck's sake!
It's because the Monday's the bank holiday. That's why it's all the games have been moved.
I'm sorry about that. I know. Listen, your train, my trip to Dubai. Who do you think's got the worst end of this? Who's got the worst end?
First world problems.
The young lad we
can
lost.
go to Bournemouth for 2 nights, right? It's a very nice town. Weekend away.
The Tuesday off work though.
The young lad we lost to Crystal Palace
Yeah.
during the summer, is it liable that we're going to lose any more of our talent, aren't we?
But no comment on that one in particular. We're always going to lose talent. While we're cat too. Unfortunately, that's the rules of the game and the deal we signed with the Devil years ago for the solidarity money. So until they turn semi-pro and we have pro deals in place, you're always open to losing talent. Now, the difference there is some of these clubs are paying agents and parents extortionate money, and we're just not going to be that club. You know, I don't want to pay a 16-year-old mother X amount of money, you know, or an agent £250,000 where he's getting 81% of the contract. You know, not for me. I've seen too many 16-year-olds turn out to be Romans when you go down that route. I'm not saying that'll happen with him, but you know, unfortunately, the risk of the game is we try and produce from the academy, and it kills Jason every time we lose one. You are going to lose some, yeah.
So that is going to tribunal. We're pretty optimistic about the outcome of that tribunal.
Yeah, and obviously I've been limited in what we can say.
Yeah.
It can,
Obviously we can't talk about
it can
that.
affect the tribunal unless we got to be, you know, don't want to talk about that one specifically, but Jason's right. We're sure we're going to we do well for it.
But we'll say though, you know, if a young lad decides to go to a Premiership under 23 team, they'll probably disappear there. as opposed to they could stay here and they could end up in the first
That's
team
the astonishing thing, isn't it?
in 18, 24 months.
Okay, we've got a question here.
Hi, Darren.
Who's Darren? You just called me Darren. Where's the body guard? Take him out.
You're doing a good job at the club anyway. You're doing a good job.
Thanks, pal. Appreciate it.
And I'll see you all the time when I take pictures with you.
Oh, thank you.
You're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
And when we're going to have your team down here, Dupo.
Oh, listen, I'd love him in the FA Cup. We could do that, £1 million. I know we've got that stand we've got to knock down. Apparently it's going to cost $1 million to do so. You know. We only said this morning with the gaffer. The gaffer, in fairness, said, geez, my record's shit in the cup. And I said, we can't disagree. So, you know, we don't win games. I said, who do you want? Plays not in non-league teams. We haven't done too well against them recently, you know. So, look, cup runs are bonuses. Chelsea was our highlight, I think, under me. We made a few quid out of that. It would be good to do well in the cup, as it would help with a transfer budget in January. That's for sure, right?
I feel we got tricked because the year we came in, beating Villa away, and it was Leicester at home, and it was on Canadian national TV, and we're going, oh, this is so cool, we get to do this every year.
All organised.
Total.
The ultimate bait and switch.
The Irish fraudsters struck again.
No. For fuck's sake. It's a bit strong.
In pre-season, I said to Darren, I'm so excited this year. And he said, why is that? He said, I'm so excited we're going to be in the third round of the FA Cup. First time.
With the Villa. Wow.
Yeah, but we weren't owners.
You're right.
We just said actually the first time ever we'll be in the third round of the FA Cup.
Showing people,
Exactly.
behind this team, they're on TV.
All the way at the back of the room, got a question for this young lad here.
Hey.
Oh, what is your favourite goal? First goal.
So your favourite posh goal?
Oh, favourite posh goal. Great question, young man. What's your favourite posh goal?
Dembele. I've got one of those. Can I answer?
Yep.
Okay. So my favourite posh goal was against Portsmouth because, as you know, I'm originally from Southampton, and it was the goal just before COVID struck. Remember we played Portsmouth at home.
That's COVID time. 2-0 home.
Ivan Toney was defending a corner. He headed the ball out. He won the header in the box. Ran into midfield. Someone passed in the ball. He then put a 40-yard pass to the winger. Ran up the other end and scored. Yes. That's my favourite goal.
While screaming at the ice.
Good. What's your favourite?
I don't know. That's a great question. I feel like it's just too easy to say the JCH goal, but I actually think about the only goal that actually got me out of my kitchen at 8 o'clock in the morning and woke the house up. I was the first goal in the championship. So I just remember just jumping up and running around my kitchen going, we're here. It was so cool.
I have a dog called, another dog called Sammy, right? So whenever Sammy Smollett scores, I go, yes, Sammy! And the dog gets up and the other dog gets up and they start barking and it's bad news at 7 a.m. in the morning.
Mine would be the penalty 3-3 Lincoln. Has to be that one. There's a magnitude, everything involved, everything that went into it. And it all came down to that. Like almost the final kick of the season for us. It had to be.
Yeah.
And after what happened to us 8 years before, to do that so late in injury time, it was poetic. So that's my favourite one. And yes, John had balls the size of melons. I mean, to take that out, and wow, because I wouldn't want to stand there taking that. Now, I wonder what it would have been like with 15,000 people in the stadium. But anyway, listen, he was as cool as you like.
How's the Dembele situation going?
Oh, he's our leading goal scorer. He scored 2 matches. It's 120 grand well spent. And that poor recruitment. Look, Dems won't sign a new contract with a football club. There's no point in saying to me contract, and I have pulled a few rabbits out of the hat making players sign. He won't sign. You know, I'd love him to. I want to get his parents down because his family are very involved, but he has no interest, and I understand why.
How much do we owe Grimsby if we sell them? What percentage do they take?
I can't say publicly, but they have a normal sell-on. But I can't, it's obviously one of those contracts which is undisclosed. That doesn't bother me. Look, at the end of the day, I've said this in the podcast, if somebody wants Dembele, you have to pay for Dembele and proper money. And I don't care if he's got 6 months left, because if you're a top club trying to get promoted, there's £200 million on the line, and you're going to argue about 6 or 7 million quid that could push you over that line to get 200 million, or more fool you. So if they say, well, we'll just wait till the summer, well, wait till the fucking summer. We've got no problem with that, because he's our leading goal scorer, we do well, we finish high up, we do okay in the league, all our players are worth a lot more money. There's more value in that than nicking a few cheap quid in January. And these guys feel exactly the same.
Agreed.
So it has to be right for us and them.
So when we stay up, there's still absolutely no chance.
I don't think so, but I'll find you the next Dembele.
Here.
So, there it goes.
He always does.
You know, yeah, absolutely. No problem with that.
Any further questions? John's one over here. Hold on, 1 second. Just do the bum behind you and I'll come to you.
What's the best thing about owning Posh?
There you go, lads.
Oh my goodness.
You could answer that one.
I do. I love the business of football. I said that at the business thing this morning. I just love it. It blends politics, like all of this kind of stuff. It uses every ounce of wits we have to keep this thing floating and acting like a real business. It's like owning a tech startup because it just takes off one day and just crashes to the ground the next. It is absolutely everything I love. It's I know. Sorry, mate.
Oh, that's a pretty good question. I love, it's going to sound really cliche, I love all the supporters because I used to be a supporter of another football team until I retired from that team. So I feel a great affinity with everyone, and that's probably the best part for me. And the people in the club who run the club are just fantastic.
The best part for me is the routine on a Saturday after a win. Going home, looking like an idiot dancing in my kitchen, singing Dembele's name or whatever. You know, sitting down, actually watching Quest TV, because I don't watch it, be done with. I fucking watch it and enjoy it, like a fan. And talking to my family, smiling this time. You know, because they'll FaceTime from America, and I either look suicidal, or I look like I won the lottery. So, and then that routine of going to bed, waking up on a Sunday morning, reading all the papers, the Football League paper, and still having that feeling. I don't know if you all experience what I'm experiencing, because that routine that affects your weekend. And it probably shouldn't do that, because that's not fair in your life, your family, but that's the emotion of owning a football club. And then that little bit of vindication that, you know what, maybe the job you're doing is okay. You know, even though you pretty much do it for free, and you get like fucking hammered for it. Sometimes when it works, it's okay. Just okay. You know? So that's my feeling on, you know, owning Posh.
There's a question from someone who's watching on YouTube who says, Darragh, what valuation would you put on the club right now?
36 million. Whoa! I heard that. We've got a taker. Good man. There you go. I like to see that. So where do I get my valuation? This football club is debt free. It's one of the top 40 football clubs in the biggest league in the world. We're an hour from London. We own the stadium. We have obviously plans in situ. And everyone laughs when I put valuations on our players. And then I go and sell a player and make 8-9 fucking million and nobody laughs anymore. My valuation on the playing squad will be well around that figure. And you might laugh after Swansea and whatever else, but put a price on Ronnie, Harrison, Jack Taylor, some of the other talent we have sprinkled around there, playing in this league, and you might get near enough over that 30 mark. So, and you're taking a football club on that's one league from the promised land with £200 million. So, with absolute no crap attached to it. There's lots of football clubs you go into now and buy have got a lot of crap attached to them that you're still paying for years to come. And Posh is such a well-run club. It's so fucking funny. It is such a well-run football club.
It is.
That's my valuation. Now these guys might have a different valuation, but if somebody wanted a terrific football club, that's what they're going to pay.
Yeah, 100 million for Derby or 36 million for a clean operation with no problems.
With plenty of growth.
Question here?
From us.
This is a bit of a thorny one for you.
Ooh.
Yeah, is Pim still in the building and are we still paying him?
Well,
he's still in the building, he's on the payroll.
Of course we have to pay him. He's still a member of our squad, he's a professional, he'll be paid. And I would imagine in January then there'll be business to be done, and we'll try and find him a club, and he'll move on. Then we'll probably bring another goalkeeper in then to compete with Cornell.
Can I have a question here?
Thank you, gentlemen. We mentioned iFollow earlier on. Do we get any data of how many Posh fans are watching it, and what sort of revenue do we get out of that, and how far is your proposal, station, TV, what you want to do, Randy, going, please?
Phil paid you to say this. So, iFollow is going okay. Like, I think it's like 3,000-4,000, Chris, is that about right? Chris isn't nodding yet. How many people were on iFollow last year during COVID?
Yeah, something like
that. Yeah, between 3,000 and 4,000.
Did he even hear the question?
That was such a yes, boss. Yes, boss.
Where's Jake? Jake's the man who knows all these numbers. Where is he? Jake! Jake, where are you? Where is he? Is he hiding back there? Don't you fucking hide over there.
3,000 or 4,000, right? On iFollow? Yeah. See, this is great staff, honestly, whatever we say. No, but it is about 3,000, 4,000. So, you know, like we've still got 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 Posh fans going to the stadium. So, to me, it actually just proves what we always say in North America, it's two different fan bases. Now imagine if we could have both. Why can't we have both? So if you want to get me to sort of lose my rag, it's Article 48. To me, it's a English mystification that is just not really understood by North Americans. And I say that in a way that NHL hockey, Major League Baseball, NFL, they still have the stadiums full, and you can still stay home. Because they recognize the two experiences are so different. And there's people that cannot come Saturday at 3 o'clock. And we've cut them off. And we cut them off because we're scared that broadcast was going to wreck the game. But what's interesting is we're here in the championship and lower. I imagine all the non-league teams. The only people that win by the broadcast rules being that you can't see your club at 3 o'clock is the Premier League team, which already has this wicked Sky contract, and guess what time they don't show a game? So the reality is, the Sky contract cut off I can't do my math tonight, 72 months.
Guinness.
There we go. It's the Guinness. It's cut off, and non-league. So if we could actually do broadcast where you actually have a choice, because you're not gonna give up, I can't use Swansea as an example, but you're not going to give up that road trip with a bunch of friends or a coach to go somewhere else to scream at the other fans and have them give you a finger, right? It's such an amazing part of the game. I before owning a club, I made this pilgrimage every year to come from Canada to go get on the train to go to see my retired club that has black and white stripes, and it's such an amazing experience. You can't cut that with TV.
Jason's going to Southampton on Friday.
Yeah,
well, it comes in your blood. It's in your blood.
Yeah,
and say that Swansea experience wasn't amazing for me.
but where we're trying to go is that if we can manage our own broadcast platform. iFollow was so bad for so many of you last year, and you filled up. The only time I get Twitter is about iFollow. You get all the fun and football.
It's loads of fun on Saturday.
But we're really excited about this. We're blending a brand new mobile, web, we have a AI, artificial intelligence engine underneath that's actually going to help search things, provide, if you're looking up certain players, it'll start to feed you more player information. We put on, it's actually, what's really cool, it's a platform, it's a viewing party. And so we can literally host 3,000-4,000 of you in the same viewing party. We can deliver food and beer to your house. You come join the viewing party. We can have George Boyd or former managers or whatever on as host. And it's just, it's
Steve
really
Evans has a job at the moment. We can't take him for the TV house.
So it's super interactive, is where we're going. And then if we can go that next level, work with the English Football League to say, next year when you redo all your broadcast platforms, how about letting the rest of us out of this? Because you've already let the Premier League out of Article 48. Let the rest of us out of it.
Are we tied into iFollow then?
We are, but we've actually cancelled that. We're taking control of it in January. So that's part of we're taking control. The only games we don't have control of will be the ones that are broadcast on Sky.
While we talk about video, what's happened to our video screen? Why aren't we getting the action replays?
Well, guess what the owners just found out?
I didn't recruit the video notice.
On a big screen? Is that what you're asking? Chris, do you want to take that one over there?
What's happened to the big screen?
Just say yes, boss.
There was a problem last game, but I think that'll be fixed.
Okay.
It's fixed.
Yeah, there was an issue at the last game of Queen's Park Rangers in terms of action replays on the big screen.
Did we not pay the electricity bill? Or?
Yes, it was just a technical issue, I believe.
Right, okay.
But it will be rectified for the next game. Hope to, because we obviously are, on Saturday is our Remembrance Sunday, so it better work.
Guess we'll find out tomorrow.
Any further questions?
Yes, tomorrow night.
Right at the back.
Yes. Take care.
Good to see you.
Evening, gentlemen.
Yeah.
My question is directed at Darragh regarding strikers. I've taken on board some of the comments that you made regarding not bringing in players when they're not fit.
Sure.
I also heard you say tonight there was a certain amount of physicality required that surprised you in the Championship, being bigger players, etc. Looking at Johnson Clark-Harris, he's the only one, in my opinion, that gives us any physicality up front. Is there any plans to bring in a player during the transfer window? And did you try at the start of the season to bring in a bigger lad up front?
So, two things. I didn't say I didn't know about the physicality. I spoke about Chelsea and their younger players and being more physical. We're always aware how physical the Championship is, trust me. We did enough analysis knowing what it was in this league. We looked at, do we bring in another striker around deadline day? Because you're always out there shopping last minute. If something interesting comes up, will you do it? Yes, we made a bid or two, but we didn't go all out. And the manager was okay with that. And we've explained the circumstances around that. Regards Clark-Harris, do I think he could kill it at this level? All day long. But I think a lot of that's down to him too. And he has to be in the best condition possible to make it impossible for the manager not to play him. And that involves training like a beast, playing like a beast, towing the line, and giving us everything. And he was magnificent last season. He was the best player in League One. He won the Golden Boot. And I always said he could be the Ricky Lambert of this era. So late in his career to go on again and again at 27. And he hasn't had a good start to the season for various reasons. And he can take some of that flack, and we'll take some of that flack, because we always have to share when things don't go right, some of the blame. And it's on him now. And he's got a massive 2 months coming up. Massive 2 months. And if he's picked tomorrow night, or if he comes off the bench, I expect him to be as good as he can be. And I expect him to be in incredible condition for the rest of the season, without fail. So, down to him. Do we need another striker in January to compete with him or replace him? That's down to Jono. If the manager says to me, that's what he wants, we'll look at that. I personally think the one we have could do very well at this level. Will we look at, aside from that, potentially if Dems goes or if he doesn't go, we've always got contingencies. We had a recruitment meeting. We know what we need to do in January. There won't be mass changes. There will be a few tweaks and a few strengthening additions here and there to help us play the system we like playing and to get better and to enable us to do well away from home. So we've already identified what we can do. There isn't loads of money to spend, of course not. So we've got to be sensible about what we do and do it our way. And no, we're not bringing someone in from, the 7th league down below non-league, relax. There are players we feel that will come in and complement everything we have. And the other thing I keep saying is we have players that we haven't seen the best of yet. And that includes Randall, Ricky, Poku. And I know I said this, Poku will be January plus. He's a player. Randall, absolutely sensational. They're going to be players you will love. You're going to miss Dembele? Not so much when some of these players are fit when he finally leaves next summer. So we're already planning ahead. And I've already planned the next 2 transfer windows, what we need to do. And that's January and next summer. They'll tell you that. I've already presented a meeting this morning. I presented a plan on those 2 windows and what we have to do and how we do it. And we want to follow those plans. I think they're going to be good plans that lead to good things. So, we're always in the market for good players. And don't forget the under-23s, we're bringing a couple of gems in there that might break through as well. So, you know, be ready for a few good surprises.
Into the last 10 minutes, I've got a couple of questions on from people watching on YouTube. In terms of scouting, do you scout in different countries? If so, where primarily do you scout?
Next summer is different countries. We decided we'd do year one without going international. Next summer, year two in the championship, we'll be adding 2 more scouts that will be international travellers. The 3 boys I've got working for me at the moment, I call them the 3 Bs, because they're all called Ben. Obviously I have a thing for guys called Ben. They're all very, I hope people nowadays take my sense of humour, right, man? I'll be cancelled tomorrow. The FA will be banning me for fucking they have a very, from August through, well, from September through to probably the first 10 days of October, they're given different assignments, Tuesday, Saturday. I give them the assignments, they go out looking. The assignments aren't always specifically about, we need a right wing back, or we need a goalie, or we need a midfielder. It's, look, there's some talent there, there's some talent there, that's a good game, I think there's going to be players in there available. Now we're getting to the stage now, where their assignments now are specifically driven towards targets we have for January. So we've already had 2 reports on each of the targets we have for the positions we want.
Sorry, does that change if you drop down? I know we don't want to drop down, but does that change?
I'm not, of course it would change, but we're not talking about that. Right now these are for January. And then further afield for next summer, there's also targets they'll be scouting. So the manager will have 6 reports on each of the targets long before January. He's already in agreement, you know, with what we need to do with the players, and he's seen them himself. But this is just more analysis from the scouts. And then next summer, like I said, we will add 2 internationally, who will go across Europe and do 3 countries I'm thinking about for us.
And a question from Craig for Jason, really. In terms of the academy, where would you see the academy in terms of getting to in East Anglia? Do you want it to become sort of hotbed of talent in this particular area of the country?
Yeah, so one of the reasons why 4 years ago we decided to participate with Darragh is because there's a great catchment area here. So there's not many competitors that can swoop in and take your talent. Which is why we're very keen on Peterborough, and I think we really want to be the #1 academy and within 100 miles of here.
And we will be.
And we will be. You heard it here.
Any further last questions? We've got a question right at the back. Is it you, Chris? Oh, you could have come to the front.
Just one from me really is, tomorrow night, obviously the manager's 500th game as manager of the club, which I think is an absolute phenomenal achievement. It would have been 700 if Darragh hadn't pressed the button. In all seriousness, what would be your guys'
time for another 500?
What would be your guys' tribute to the manager and his time at this club?
I didn't hear Chris, sorry.
Your tribute,
Your tribute to Darren Ferguson. Obviously not dead, but you know what I mean.
Wow, holy cow. Look what you did to him.
Right.
Honestly, I said it earlier, I actually believe that our manager absolutely is the picture of culture here. He is, a lot of ways, represents everything Peterborough United's about. Young kids getting a chance, always trying our hardest, working as hard as we can to get to the next level, being angry when we go down, and actually just caring all the time. Like and he's bulletproof. I literally believe he is the representation of the club and the culture, and we are damn lucky to have him.
I would say he's an incredibly calm person, which he almost certainly needs to be working with the 3 of us. Especially you.
Yeah.
And I love the way that he's very keen to bring through the kids, which I think is one of the core principles of the club.
My biggest tribute to the manager would be, I've dumped him 3 times, and he keeps taking me back. And we're more in love each time. So, no, I wrote, Swanee asked me for a few words about this, and I put in there, the tribute I would pay would be to the gaffer and his wife, because it's your family are with you through the ride of being a manager. And I know that as an owner, but that's like, you know, the sacrifices, the things you miss with your children, you know, the time you give up with your wife, the torture you put her through when you lose, because football's a win and loss situation, unless you're, you know, the best in the business. He's as good as there is. He hasn't always got that credit. There are worse managers that have got bigger jobs than Darragh, and he's never really had that crack. So if anything, to get to the Premier League would be wonderful, and all the money and all the glory that goes with it. But for him, for me, that'd be the greatest wish, you know, to make him a Premier League manager. You know, because he deserves that. Particularly for the work, the effort, the commitment, the time. But once has he ever phoned me and said, I want permission to speak to another football club. And I've been in football 15 years, and I've pretty much had every player and every agent do that. And he's not once ever let me down in that way. And that's something to be said in this industry. So that's the greatest tribute I could pay to him, is he is, for me, I don't want to go against all the people who love the history of the club, the greatest manager in his football club's history, in my opinion. Yeah. So,
last couple of questions. Young lad wants to ask another question.
What is the player for Posh?
Favourite player for Posh? Who's your favourite player that you've had at the football club? Darragh first.
That's so awful.
The favourite player, Posh.
I'm trying to avoid this like the plague.
I can tell you that my wife calls Harrison Burrows the son she never had. I'm sure that's good or bad.
You know, of the three of us, Jason's always got a love child, we call it. Like, he's always, and he's right up front about it. I love the fact that my partner acts like a fan more often than he does no. Why didn't you play my guy today? So, I don't know. I hate this question so much, because it's every single day one of them just shows up, and sort of like having teenage boys, isn't it? So mad at him on Saturday night, and then on Monday you're just praising him for something great.
Yeah.
So it's just
Lee Tomlin.
That was just quick.
We all knew that one now.
Yeah, I would say mine would be Ivan Toney.
Yeah.
But you got to have one.
Oh, it's not.
Can't name a current player, by the way, because that upsets, you know, egos.
Well, I mean, honestly, when I got here, as you know about my former passion for black and white stripes, you know, meeting Stephen Taylor for the first time was like, holy cow.
Hey, he shoveled some good snow, that fella. And I'm not talking about the Friday night in the nightclub.
There you go.
If money wasn't an object, would you redevelop this ground?
No.
It's just not suitable for redevelopment.
I've always said I would love to stay here, and it can't be done. Like, and honestly, everybody, it's going to cost the same amount of money
Lipstick on a pig.
to take the asbestos-ridden old lady, or give you brand new seats with space in the main stand. Like, it's just a no-brainer. and it can't
You've
be
heard
done.
that saying before, right? Lipstick on a pig.
Lipstick on a pig. Yeah, you don't want it. I hate to say that, but it's true.
This isn't getting streamed or filmed, is it?
Yeah, till
Yes.
Yeah.
We all know what you like.
Shit.
After you finish, Darragh, being chairman of the football club, if and when, do you fancy having a role on the EFL board and shaking that?
you and I know too much.
There is no chance that.
I actually.
Who would dislike who the most? That's the question. Would the EFL turn him down, or we turn the EFL down?
If God was angry at Darragh MacAnthony and sent him to the sixth plane of hell, it would be an EFL board meeting.
So I'm like every whore, you know, the highest price gets me. So, and I've no shame in saying that. That's what life's all about. So if they want to pay enough money for me to come in and restructure the way they're doing things, no problem at all. I'll happily talk to them. Now, whether that conversation ever happens, who knows? But you know, that's the way it is. Look, I'm not political. I'll say it how it is. But I'm a very creative person. So if they see me as an asset or liability, that's on them. But trust me, I rate my abilities in doing anything.
Well, the chairman of the EFL will be here on Saturday, so you can put in.
I'm well aware he's here.
You can mention it.
And I'll say hello to him. Why? But you know, the point is that people come and go. And you know, a lot of those boards are very much political, and a lot doesn't get done. There's some good people, But would I be in a hurry to be on one of those? No. But I'm always doing training courses. I'm always giving Zoom conversations to people who are getting their qualifications. They've asked me to do that. The LMA have asked courses to do on management and interviews and sackings and things like that, and how to handle chairman like me. So I'm happy to part on that experience. No problem at all. But thanks for that, and thanks for the laugh, fellas.
In the light of Johnson Clark Harris, the problem we've had with him, is the club doing anything about social media within the players?
Yeah.
Now?
We've had all their accounts scanned and checked.
Excellent.
So, you know, if anything comes out, obviously we missed it. But no one's perfect in 7 days.
No.
We won't name mayors. And I said it at the time, the people on that FA panel who gave out the punishment, I'm sure if I hired a PI, I could dig up a lot of shit on them and do a 7 day.
Yeah.
You know? And they wouldn't get a ban, they'd lose their fucking jobs. So these people need to be very careful with the crap they throw at people. You know, particularly the stuff you do in your 7 days. It's shocking, really.
Question here. Question this time about the new stadium. When we move into the new stadium, what sort of other events will we be looking to host?
What type of what?
Sort of other events would we be looking to host?
Oh my goodness.
Sporting, music.
Yeah, so I mean that's we're planning a 250 to 300 day event stadium. So it'll be everything from conferences to weddings to concerts to boxing,
UFC, everything.
Anything you want to.
Everything. Anything that makes money. Hey, listen.
That makes money. For the city would be amazing.
Happy days.
Well, and what is you think about the outside, but imagine as well. There's a 1,000-seat indoor piece with a high ceiling, so some like 1,000 people. Like think about some of your favorite artists that you've seen in small venues, and that'll be part of the stadium. That's pretty cool. So don't limit yourself to what just happens outdoors. Think about like 1,500 people indoor events, right? Yeah. So it's a really fantastic opportunity for the city.
Yeah. Yeah, the arena goes really, really well put together. It's a lovely arena, to be fair to it. You know?
The advantage of obviously the embankment is accessibility. So you could put on a conference for, I don't know, telecommunications or whatever you want. And people can come from London and the north, east, really easily. It's a really central location and they can come by train. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to ask the three to provide a closing statement, if you will, to send these people off into the night. Who would like to go first? Go for it.
I feel really lucky to be part of this. I feel very, very lucky that this guy let us come for the ride. He's been a great partner. He's a great community. You've all been really good to us. And thank you for letting us be part of this.
Not sure how I top that, but like Stewart, I always call him Randy. I'm privileged to be an owner of Peterborough United, and it's a great pleasure and a great honour, and I hope we have a lot of success for many years to come.
Two things for me, one, great to see you all again. It's been way too long. That's been really enjoyable tonight, and I've missed that, because it was a big miss during our promotion season. If you say the biggest disappointment that season was not having fans, particularly in the last game, outside was wonderful and all that. The second thing I'll say is, again, I give credit to these guys, because without them we wouldn't have got the promotion, and we certainly wouldn't have bought the stadium back. So they were brilliant during COVID. And that's not me going, oh, wonderful partners, we love you. We're like everyone else in business and whatever else. We don't always agree. We'll sometimes disagree. But we work well together and everyone's heart's in the right place. There's no agenda here except improve, grow, and be consistently a good championship club and give you guys what you want, what you deserve. So we do, let's enjoy it. And let's see where it takes us. And we'll enjoy the successes. And we'll lick our wounds when we get a battering. And we'll get a few. This is the championship. That's the way it is. And we stick together. Yeah? Trust the fucking process. All right, there you go. Stay calm.
Ladies and gentlemen, Stewart Thompson and Jason Neale, I wish you a safe journey home.
Oh, God. You're right. Yeah, because the trains are fucked up apparently. Yeah. So yeah, it will be. So keep your eye on Facebook and stuff like that. So I'll put it on document. Just suss out the thing, and quite a lot of people have said, yeah, the trains are absolutely.
On your way out, guys, Joe Dent's book is for
so
sale on
so
the way out. Those that have not yet purchased it, this is available. Joe will sign it for you if you want. That is an extra charge, obviously.
Hello, Steve. All right, mate. How are you, mate? All right.
Yeah, I'm good. How are you? Nice to see you here. You're always looking well and I'll see you Saturday. Once again, just sorry about your out on this. Saturday. Yeah, well, I'm not saying that. But I just wanted to.